avatars you see behind me is the new, recreated version of myself. It was a little disturbing to me that I was so easily affected by the opinions of others. After just 2 hours of social ostracization, I was entirely willing to alter the appearance of the avatar that I had initially been so confident about. It seems unrealistic, but I felt that my self-esteem was based partially on how my avatar was accepted into Second Life society. Having skanked out my avatar to Second Life proportions, I returned to the same social sites and made some interesting discoveries about the social acceptability in the virtual world. I did not need to initiate conversation because I was approached by both men and women. They would approach with a sexual comment about my appearance, but would then move on quickly to other conversational topics. I spoke with people claiming to be from Costa Rica, England, Mexico, and Texas about the weather, work, schooling, and politics, but the normal tone of the interaction was always offset by an initially sexually charged greeting. Meadows claims that sex is a major part of only select areas in Second Life, but I have to disagree. Avatars do engage in non-sexual activities, but sex is a very real and important part of in-world culture. I experienced sex as a conversation starter in many instances because, I believe, of the lack of obvious common ground. In the real world, surroundings can be an opener. People can comment on a painting, the weather, etc. In Second Life, it seems strange to draw attention to the virtual environment. If you were to comment on a sunset, for instance, you would not say, "What a pretty sunset," but the sunset seems so realistic, or "These graphics are amazing." I attempted to open conversations by talking about how realistic everything appeared a few times before I realized that others didn't want to discuss it. Most people playing Second Life do not want to highlight the clinical aspects of a role-playing game because they prefer not to think of it that way. When I asked people why it bothered them so much, each gave me a variant on the same answer. By marveling at the realism of the setting, I had removed us from that realistic feeling. It's just not done. In the absence of a more traditional common ground openers, sexually identified compliments seemed an entirely natural way to initiate contact. From there, deeper conversations and interaction can take place. Initially, I felt that I should not return such comments out of a sense of self-respect, but I'd end up doing so out of curiosity. I was surprised at how quickly the conversation moved from sex to normal topics, and once I realized that it was simply an opener, I was able to not view it as overtly degrading. As long as the conversation moved on to other topics, I found it acceptable. The person I spoke to most extensively was Joselito Rayana, a 26-year-old man from Costa Rica. He approached me by saying that he liked my outfit, but moved on to ask how long I had been playing, where I was from, etc. I would expect to feel irritated at being singled out for purely sexual attributes that aren't even naturally mine, but the quick transition into normal topics made me consider the sexual opening as nothing more than a societal convention. The anonymity and safety provided by my avatar made me more accepting of these new social rules. Were I placed in a real-world society where this was considered acceptable, I do not believe I would have been nearly so flexible. I would never have given a response to a sexual advance from a stranger out of pure curiosity in my real life. It would be dangerous. I felt secure enough in Second Life, however, to interact with new, odd people. For me, this new experience highlighted how nervous and suspicious I am of unfamiliar people in real life. I never thought of considering strangers in a non-threatening environment. One of Meadows' most interesting observations is in speaking of the connection he feels to his avatar and the need to maintain his avatar's appearance. He changes his clothes, alters his facial hair, and makes other small, almost inconsequential maintenance decisions. I experienced this as well, but was even more intrigued by the way that real-world conventions of modesty carry into Second Life. There is a vanity in Second Life that mimics the real world. Mirrors are included in the numerous dressing rooms found in world, in spite of the ability for one to change their perspective to observe the avatar from 360-degree angles. These mirrors often offer pose buttons so that the avatar can dance, jump, move flirtatiously, or give any number of poses so that the buyer can approve of the clothing selection. Though sex is of undoubtedly high importance in Second Life, I was just as surprised to find that a number of users remained uncomfortable with sexuality and physicality. The first indication I found of this is the very existence of nearly 20 islands that serve as private dressing rooms for residents who don't have a place to dress. I did not consider this a necessity for my own avatar, but there are some users who find themselves feeling so connected to their avatar that a public change of clothes seems indecent. I see behind me an avatar can pose in front of a mirror in a private dressing room without being exposed to strangers. The idea of a private dressing room for a pixelated entity would serve to me, but I had my own idiosyncratic privacy issue. When I began playing Second Life, I did not have a computer with a sufficiently powerful graphics card, so I had to play in the public computer lab at McDaniel College, surrounded by other people. I felt uncomfortable and self-conscious having a conversation with other avatars when the people around me could see what I was doing. Logically, I knew that the other inhabitants of the computer lab did not care what I was doing or saying, but the initial sexual nature of the conversations, viewed in conjunction with my avatar's skimpy outfit, made me feel like I should be being judged. I felt so awkward that I invested in a new MacBook with a friend so I could play from home instead of in the lab. I'm perfectly willing to accept and adapt to the rules in an unfamiliar society such as Second Life, but I could not commit to those new standards when I felt like I was being